My name's Jonah. I am the owner of Society in Reigate. So I've owned Society, or been running Society coaching, for about 3 or 4 years. We initially started in my mum and dad's garage about COVID time, and then we moved into a smaller space and then sort of started from there. So I've been working with the network for, it would have been a year last December, so about sort of a year and 4 months now. Before working with the network, we basically were kind of fondling around for what we thought was a business, which ended up being more like quite an expensive hobby. But over time, working with the guys, we've finally started to find our feet in terms of actually being able to run it as a business that was functional, that had staff, and that, you know, the product was working how it should. We were, you know, running it in a sense of making it up as we go along, rather than working with some structure and some real kind of actionable plans that are actually going to change the direction of the business. I found out about the network online. I saw it advertised. Initially, as all things, I've worked with a mentor in the past. They got us to a certain point, but we knew something was missing, something wasn't quite right. I come across an ad and I saw kind of some of the work that Jens and the guys were doing, and it did seem, you know, not necessarily too good to be true, but it was like, is this going to be another mentorship that is going to get me to a certain point? As soon as I had my first call with Jens, I realized that these guys don't mess around. And he highlighted how and where my business could go, and I honestly didn't really believe it. I actually said no on our first call because I wasn't at the point where I felt like I was ready to take it on. And then I think it was probably about 8 or 9 months later, I decided to pull the trigger because things still weren't kind of performing in the way that I wanted them to. So then I decided to kind of go ahead and take the plunge. Yeah, so I think reservations are always, you know, you're investing a lot of money in something like the Gym Owner Network, and obviously at a small business point of where we're at now compared to where we are now, it kind of felt like a big investment. Honestly, you know, now we've invested and now we've actually done it, it's paid for itself and a lot more. But in terms of reservations, I think one of the factors was you're at a point where you feel like you can't afford it, but that actually is the point where you need to take the plunge and kind of go ahead with it. So since joining the network, in terms of personal growth, I think I was constantly stressed, constantly burnt out, and I didn't have a direction of where the business was going to go. I tried to work harder rather than smarter, and it affected my personal life. It affected, you know, being able to have time off and all those things. So since kind of being within the network, I've actually been able to have clear roles within the business, and which has given me time to work on myself as a leader and as a business owner. In terms of growth through as the actual business itself, we were kind of on about 60 or 70 members, all at kind of the wrong price point when we first joined. We're now probably about 210 members. And then we've got about 50 or 60 on trial, which is an extremely kind of positive point where we're at the moment. And they're all, the pricing's aligned and everything is in the direction of where it's supposed to be going. I think, honestly, and this is not just me saying this, I think if you're having reservations about starting with the network, this has truly transformed my life. I've always had a very high opinion of what I think I'm possible or capable of as a business owner, and I was so far underneath that the way I was competing before I joined the network. Even if you're at a point where you feel like you've tried everything, the depth and the understanding of which and the clarity of which you have if you throw yourself into something like or the Gym Owner Network, it's going to exceed anything that you're hoping for. And I think it's something that, even if it feels like it's too tight or it's not the right time, taking that plunge is truly transformative. So in terms of what's next for Society, Currently, we're working in a space which is about 3,500 square foot for the main gym. We've got another 2,500 square foot, which is going to be Society Wellness Club, as you can see behind us. It is sauna, it is recovery, ice baths, we're going to have treatment rooms, and this honestly wouldn't have been possible if the gym wasn't functioning at the level which it is now functioning at. We've got 600 people just on the wait list for our recovery space. We've got a wait list even for the main gym now. You know, we're kind of at the point where unless we sort of expand further, we won't be able to take on any more members, probably in the next 6 months. So to sort of make the point is the brand now is growing into something that is what I've always dreamed of. I think what I want to say here is that it's not easy, but it's worth it, I think, because I've seen people join the network and absolutely just bail on it as well, because they don't want to put in the hard work. So I think Jens would like this because it's pushing away maybe the people who are just here for another quick fix. So I think one last thing I'd like to sort of say is one of the big factors for me is joining the network. It wasn't easy to do what we've done, but the challenge and the direction of what it provides for you, if you're willing to put in the work and you turn up every day, it is truly amazing what the possibility is for you personally and for the business of which you're so tied to personally. So I think it's definitely a worthwhile investment.